Dr. Kamaladevi Baskaran, thank you for joining us for the Happy Smart City podcast. A very interesting profile and, vast experience on different regions, and of course with the UAE connection as well. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation. And like I said, I mean, when we spoke before this, your profile was very interesting to me, and I know a lot of people who would be interested to learn more about what you do, because your profession is very critical for the modern entrepreneur and the modern economy in general. And so, thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invite, Mr. Tieho.
All right. So, our first question for you is: what is your current occupation?
I'm currently serving as Head of Industry Relations in the Department of Management and Commerce at Amity University, Dubai, UAE. My research interest lies in the area of business analytics, entrepreneurship, business intelligence, and e commerce, ranging from theory to design and implementation.
Lovely, lovely. And then, what major opportunities and challenges do you see in the fourth industrial revolution?
To begin with, the first industry revolution, which marked the transition from hand production methods to machines. Second industrial revolution gave birth to technology. Third industrial revolution gave birth to digital revolution. And the fourth industrial revolution, which we are talking about, we can call it as Industry 4.0, which is the ongoing automation of traditional manufacturing and industry practices using the modern smart technology. The opportunity, the mainly which we are looking for, is basically based on some of the highlights which has been given by World Economic Forum in the Forbes actually. The main point is data. Data is everything. Data is knowledge. So the global volume of data which will be predict in the next 4 years will be completely doubled using the machine learning and artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is basically, it is a software engine for this industrial revolution, we would say. So it will completely control the way we travel, the way we manufacture, the way we produce, the way we educate the younger generation people and the elderly people. So such advancement plays a key role in Industry 4.0. In addition to that, autonomous vehicles. So autonomous vehicle also plays a key role, which will improve the road safety. It will decrease pollution and reshape the complete travel industry and transform the cities. The next one is blockchain. Blockchain is a powerful methodology. We can say such opportunity will be helpful to track the transactions which will impact the entire e-commerce industry. The one such example is cryptocurrencies. The other opportunity we can say highlight in global finance and trade, especially which has lots of innovation in fintech applications. Then the drones, another opportunity, we can call it as unmanned aircraft system. It has a huge impact on agriculture, which is making the dangerous jobs safer, which provides a lifeline for remote populations, meeting refugee emergencies. And it has a complete revolution on how people and goods are transported from one place to other place. Another opportunity we can highlight is IoT, Internet of Things. So IoT devices, which has been driven by continued technology advances, which has its own plumbering cost of computing, storage, and connectivity. So we can highlight, these areas have the key opportunity in Industry 4.0. When we speak about the challenges, basically like the main challenge which I wanted to bring it in this platform is unemployment. Unemployment followed by inequality. Basically, the demand for high skilled workers has been increased tremendously, and the lower level of skills has been will start to be a thing. So this could lead to lots of potential job losses. The other challenge would be cybersecurity risk. When everything is interconnected, the risk of hacking data and tampering with it or using it for malicious intent is now more prevalent. It is not as contained as before. So that is another challenge. One more challenge I wanted to highlight in this scenario is the disruptions of core industries like the taxis now are competing against Uber and Lyft. The traditional television and cinema companies, they are competing with the Netflix and YouTube. And the hotel industry is competing with Airbnb and any store, any retail store which is competing with Amazon. So these are all some of the challenges where it leads to the disruption of the core industries. So we can highlight there is a need to overcome the set challenges during this fourth industrial revolution.
I I like those answers very much, and these are things that people need to find at least the policymakers need to find a fine balance, because you talked about unemployment, due to digitization and automation taking away jobs from semi-skilled and even in some cases skilled labor, losing their jobs to machine learning algorithms. um, but the other side of it is the opportunity for blockchain, as a trust mechanism, but also for transparency, and having a solid paper trail. I mean, for example, from a government perspective, there's governments that really have challenges with tracking workflows and where money is going. I think that there's this give and take of all these new technologies. There's great potential for savings through blockchain and better audits, and identification of frauds, with blockchain. But there has to be a fine balance between, okay, how much automation can we allow? Because I'm going to say one thing on this one. When you talked about, the first, or at least the second industrial revolution, being, the taking away of hands, and so forth, with factories, the first types of factories that we had, and then digitization, and then now automation. Um, I always wonder, like some countries in Africa and developing economies, people already don't have enough education, to survive in the previous industrial revolutions. And now this new one is creating even further, wealth gaps. And this to me is very true, because I also engage with the Nasdaq, in the U.S. They have a foundation where they do research and also share information. And we had a boot camp with them last year, towards the end of 2020, and they said they had an all-time high in public listings. So this means, with the whole COVID situation, there was a lot of automation that happened because of the COVID restrictions. And so many people lost jobs. Even the US government, for one, there's huge debates around mergers and acquisitions, because the smaller and medium sized companies that support communities, and those were the anchors of the economy. What happened is the valuations weren't lower, and the balance sheets were really hurt, and so some of them, just to not file for bankruptcy, they wanted to sell just for their families to survive. But then, that presented great challenges, and that's a trend that's continuing. So
Yeah,
very
that is absolute.
dangerous stuff that's going on. But with people like yourself providing the right type of advice, I'm sure we'll find a way. Now, the next one is: do you think emerging markets will follow the same development trends as developed economies? Or are there particular differences in how markets like India and Africa will evolve?
Of course, the emerging markets will developed countries. India-Africa Trade Council, you must have heard, it was inaugurated recently in the city named Chennai from South India for building up business relations between both the countries of India and African region. So there was also a roundtable meeting that has been organized by the council in Chennai with the participation from Indian companies doing business in Africa. So from the close follow-up of the news, I understand that a 30-member delegation from South India, of the India Africa Trade Council have a plan to visit Comesa region. So this region consists of Ethiopia, Djibouti, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Namibia. During the month of April 2021, they have the plan to visit, and various MOUs in health sector, skill development, agriculture are expected to be signed with the various companies and organizations in this region. So this the highlight of this program includes establishment of India Africa Film Commission for identifying opportunities in film shootings for Bollywood and South India film industry. Then meetings to discuss the possible collaboration and purchase of 500 cars for Djibouti from Indian company Tata Motors. Then monthly roundtable to be conducted with a focus on different countries of Africa every month in Chennai, that is a city from South India, with the support of embassies in New Delhi for better cooperation, which will be chaired by joint meeting entrepreneurs and the embassy itself. Then launching of Africa's special economic zone in Kolar, again that is also a city in South India, on 100 acres land parcel for collaboration with African companies. So Africa is keen to improve its multilateral relations with India, especially in the area of capacity building with organizations like COMESA, then ECOWAS, ECOWAS, and WEMU, and SADC, and Sahel. So Indian government extends credit lines for African countries in the area of education, skill development, healthcare, agriculture, and regular talks are held between Indian and African governments, I would say.
That's very interesting. And for me, the Indian conversation is a very important one, and I'll tell you why. If you think about the U.S. and how it's surviving today, and even Europe, most of the STEM activities are outsourced to India, um, because India's got a lot of good software engineers and a lot of good electrical engineers, a lot of good computer engineers. And I think that, frankly speaking, you're right to say that India, can provide great capacity building for Africa. And this is something that I am watching very closely. I do, follow some of the conversations between India and the African continent. But the dynamic, I think, for India to not follow the old trends of people who come to provide services to Africa, or do business with Africa. It has to be some type of complementary trade agreement or trade relationship, because then it'll suffer some bad PR, like different regimes that came from outside the continent to try and engage in the economy here. But I can say, without doubt, that the people of India and the people of Africa have always been allies for the longest time. And of course, the leadership, President Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi. So on so many levels. It's really going to be an interesting development. And when you talk about film, I saw there's a film between a lady in India and some people in Nigeria that's going to be aired on Netflix. It premieres on Netflix. So I can definitely agree. I'm seeing some really
Yeah,
interesting.
there are lots of movies. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And we could talk a very long time about this because these are very exciting times. And just one last one, I also do a bit of research on young people who are making big moves on YouTube and that type of thing. And Indians and Africans, they're starting to do, the younger people, they're starting to do some interesting collaborations on social media as well. So I think this is going to be a very organic type of relationship that's going to work itself from the ground up. So very exciting times ahead. The next one is, how will machine learning, analytics, and IoT data improve future market research?
We put it in a nutshell. If you're asking a manager, are you using AI, artificial intelligence, or machine learning or IoT in a few years from now, it is a kind of asking like, are you using computer for your job? So this is going to be a trend now, how you are using your computer, your desktop, laptop at present. So artificial intelligence, your machine learning, IoT, everything will be part and parcel of the life. So it will be completely embedded. Artificial intelligence driven marketing leverages models to automate, optimize, and to augment the transformational process of data into actions and interactions with the scope of predicting behaviors, anticipating needs, and hyper personalizing messages. That is the big highlight. So currently, the modern marketers utilize user data to deliver hyper individualized and hyper contextualized brand communications. So here, each and every subsequent message builds based on the previous conversations, the interactions which we had, rather than being as the final stage in the customer journey, but it is a way to orchestrate our future experiences when when we speak about customer experience management. So successful mission learning powered companies, they are turning their data into seamless interactions with the customers, with the consumers, using semi-automated and real-time processes. So these predictive and augmented experiences build deeper one-to-one relationship with the customer. So mainly to improve the omni-channel customer experience and drive product differentiation. So, designing an artificial intelligence strategy requires the managers to systematically evaluate marketing needs in terms of automation, optimization, and augmentation in relation to the search to benefits of prediction, anticipation, and personalization. So, this artificial intelligence contributes to automating, optimizing, and augmenting three fundamental marketing processes, mainly for data collection. Next, insights gathering through data analysis and customer engagement. So these interest of marketers for machine learning is at least to understand customer behavior. Number two, personalized message marketing research that has been embedded and part and parcel of marketing research, I would say.
Now, those are very strong points that you make, and I will agree with that 100%. What to me is very challenging about smart cities and the whole IoT spectrum, especially when the end consumer is concerned, is the issue of pervasive systems. So, I had a conversation with a professor yesterday whom I was interviewing for this podcast, and we were discussing cookies, on the web browser, and how they allow different applications to access your behavior online just by one click. So I'm always just worried about hyper pervasive systems or fully pervasive systems, and this is what I mean. Um, if a smart city, has a lot of cameras, um, or different stores that a person can follow have a lot of cameras, and these cameras feed facial recognition, with an individual's identification in a broader database that is shared across different types of applications. Sometimes people may not want, some of their suppliers or some of their, the brands that they buy or whatever, to know everything about them. And so I'm just always so curious to know. I mean, how can we draw the line of how much data about a person can we use to satisfy them, and to what extent can they control which business knows how much about them? Because, you know if we go the route of, taking away the power from the person, then we will lose, or at least these companies that use all of these IoT and machine learning will use their unique value proposition. They'll just be, just another company that's trying too hard to reach them. And just one last point: when you think about, GDPR and the data policies that people have to agree to, if you use this app or you use this piece of software, this is the terms and conditions. People just click. There's a lot of jargon in there. There's long documents in there. There's a lot of links where people still need to first try and understand what it means just to get on a website and to browse or at least interact with an app. Um, there's some nuances that I find are very challenging. Can you speak to the issue of being too much? How much is too much information about a user?
See, actually, I would like to add a point here. AI knows, much better than what we know about us. It's going to predict our behavior as well. Even we will not be able to know what's going to happen, after 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but AI is going to predict our complete behavior in the future, I would say.
And the worst part, well, I mean, I don't know if it's the worst part, but if you think about Google's the Go AlphaGo algorithm, that played against the Korean gentleman, the world champion of Go. Um, the neural network gradient algorithms, they trumped this guy. I mean, to a pulp, and people couldn't believe that Go, which is such a long-term strategy type of game, a human being could lose to a computer, because computers are good at finding, condensed, finding solutions for condensed situations. But when you drag things out into the longer term, they suffer probabilistic errors, and that's why we have quantum computing now. But to have
Right.
an algorithm that could beat the world champion Lee Sedol in Go, I mean, for me, that was very challenging, because now we don't even know. I mean, you talking to me right now, we don't even know if there's some embedded algorithm somewhere that already predicted this conversation, and it's
Exactly.
miles ahead. And just after posting this on YouTube and people commenting, it's gonna extract, the data. It's gonna mine the text on YouTube, and having mined that text, it'll then feed to some or the other type of information sharing service with us, being identified there, and then it'll sort of, feed us suggestions as well, and we will act on those suggestions. So just it's interesting times, but we just have to keep talking and believe that our words are worth something. Um, now,
Exactly.
how can investors leverage marketing analytics to find unique opportunities?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. The business world is changing rapidly, with it, especially marketing. So, in this information age, data is changing the complete game, the business game. Marketers of both the large and the small businesses, they try to hear the term big data. At all the time they were behind big data, what does it mean to the business? Data is necessary for all sort of marketers, whether it's a large scale or small scale business, particularly inbound marketers. And the insights provided are profound, important, and readily available to those who know where to look, how to look at the data. The recent article, from transforming data with the intelligence, TDWI checklist report, applying analytics with the big data for customer intelligence. It does a nice job of highlighting some of the benefits for using in marketing analytics, and they were providing compelling examples on how it has been beneficial in practice, basically. So mainly, if you are talking about how the marketing analytics will be leveraging for the investors, especially to find unique opportunities, we can highlight a couple of the points. The first thing is we will be able to get the highlight of full view of customers across the channels, whether it is a brick and mortar locations or kiosk or a call center, mobile partners or some e-commerce or social media, whatever, maybe we will be able to get the full insight about the customers. And then this analytics will be helpful for investors to become more proactive and effective, especially to anticipate customer and predict the market behavior, and they can respond proactively. Then these investors can personalize the messages, the marketing messages to the customers, and they can actively involve in customer engagements. So they can, this analytics will help them to enable organizations to explore how customers in some defined segments behave differently during different occasions. Even they can predict customers likelihood to respond to different offers, and what time they are responding, for what content they will be able to respond, the changes in timing, changes in content, and changes in the delivery channel, how these offers have an impact on the sales. So they will be able to personalize the messages. Then they can sharpen their social media strategies, especially. This goes hand in hand with personalized customer engagements. But now, when we are talking about social media strategies, it is the ongoing 24/7 focus group of sorts. So, this analytics, the organizations can focus without any timing challenge, 24/7 round the clock, they'll be able to focus on the influence. The other point I can highlight is this analytics will help the investors, to engage with the customers in the real time. So whenever the customer is available online or offline, when they come to online 24/7, they will be able to put all the channels at the same phase, whatever the topic the customers are interested in, they can involve in real time decision making as well. Then the investors will be able to get visualize their success across the enterprise, basically data visualization. There are many data visualization tools which is available in the market. We have experts as well, so they will be able to bring the analytics within the reach of non-technical marketers. Whoever is not technically specialized, they will be able to get the picture of about the complete customers, so that they will be able to share, collaborate, and do the decisions collectively and effectively and efficiently as well. Then basically the data is the strategic asset here, we could say. The data is the knowledge, the data is the asset. If the customer data wasn't available, we would not have hackers, continuously breaking in and stealing the data. But locking it up is in a vault is also not an answer. So we understand that data as a strategic asset as well. So how we are going to bring the balance, has been struck between the data access for analytics and the privacy and governance to safeguard the interest of both organizations and customers, which is very important. So these are all the areas, marketing analytics are playing a key role where investors can leverage and marketing analytics basically to find unique opportunities in the current scenario.
That is so amazing. I think the one that really sits well with me is the issue of data visualization and trying to get all the key metrics for investors and maybe even board members to try and leverage the key insights and have them deliver an impact on the executive.
Yeah, that is the hot cake. That is the hot cake in the most of the board meetings.
Exactly, exactly. And so I think anyone who can provide the right type of visualization tools, will be a winner. Because even to get the best board members is very difficult because some of them are already advising different boards and they don't have a lot of time to think about your organization. But if you can provide them a good dashboard with good visualization, then that would be very powerful. Now, moving on to the next one, I think a country like Ethiopia for me is very interesting in Africa. It's got 110 million people, and two things: 80 to 85% of Ethiopian households are agri households, so they're involved in agriculture. But the biggest challenge to that is that 30 to 50% of their yield is lost in harvesting and logistics, and even perhaps bad treatment, right? Administering pesticides, but we talked about how drones can do that quite well. But can we talk to the issue of logistics and supply chains? How will machine learning analytics and IoT improve logistics and supply chains in India and Africa?
I think this question is need for the hour, especially for the problem which you have highlighted. I would say, machine learning is shaping the future of supply chain and logistics management, mainly to improve accuracy and to improve the speed and its scale as well. So, when it comes to the future of supply chain, machine learning is one of the most exciting applications of artificial intelligence technology out there today. Machine learning is the mode of data analysis that provide systems with the ability to learn and improve automatically from the experience without being specifically programmed. So we can highlight some of the ways how the machine learning, has been improving supply chain management. One such activity is way is, we can say, logistic solution. Particularly when it comes to resource scheduling systems, machine learning algorithms are driving the next generation logistic solutions. In April 2019, the report has been released from McKinsey that predicts that machine learning's most significant contributions will be in providing supply chain operators with more significant insights into how supply chain performance can be improved, anticipating anomalies in logistics cost and performance before they occur. Other way is through Internet of Things, IoT sensors, intelligent transport systems, and traffic data, which generate a tremendous variation in the data set. So machine learning has the potential to deliver increased value by analyzing these data sets, thereby optimizing logistics and ensuring that materials arrive, timely. There was again a study from BCG, Boston Consultancy Group, during the year December 2018. It determined that pairing machine learning, specifically blockchain, with IoT, Internet of Things, can contribute to cost savings of $6 million per year. That is another highlight. Then we can talk about preventing privileged credential abuse. That is also another solution from machine learning, especially in supply chain management. Then we can reduce fraud potential in addition to reducing risk and improving product and process quality. Machine learning can reduce the potential for fraud in the supply chain. There are many applications in that. Then we can reduce forecast errors. Forecast errors, basically another report was recently released from McKinsey. It says that lost sales due to products not being available has been reduced up to 65% through the use of machine learning based planning and optimization techniques. So it shows that the inventory reductions of 20 to 50% have been achieved today when the machine learning has been implemented in the supply chain management. Then other way we can do is we can do the preventive maintenance. That is another tremendous strategic asset for the supply chain. Then we can detect inconsistent suppliers quality levels. So machine learning can help manufacturers to combat one of the biggest problem they face today, that is lack of consistent quality and delivery performance from suppliers. So these technologies can quickly detect and address the errors, as well as it can determine highest and lowest performing suppliers as well. So we can say machine learning is reinventing supply chain management. Not only machine learning already realized tremendous value for the supply chain, but the very nature of this technology means the possibilities are virtually endless.
That is key. I think that is key because it talks about optimizing the whole value chain and the supply chain. And once you can do that, I mean, the quality of insights will be so high. And it makes me think about, again, I'll talk about South Korea, which is a country that, they suffered war in the 1930s, but having been broken down, I mean, the place was in rubble, but they started up from the agri economy and they built everything up from there. They started with farming, and then the farming was optimized through transportation and warehousing. And then with all of that economic complexity that rises to secondary economic activities, you start getting, complicated financial instruments that finance all of that. And I think that Africa has a lot of arable land, and the advent of blockchain to provide transparency will encourage investors to bring money to the region, because then they know that they can trust the process. I mean, the soil is good, the weather is good. In some places, the humidity is perfect, but the management has always been a very big concern. And so things like logistics and the financing for the logistics don't become a challenge when the blockchain provides a bedrock for trust. So thank you for that one.
Yeah, algorithm grow continuously and it is making us more sophisticated. When the challenges comes again, the machine learning grows to meet those challenges, we can see.
Mhm, mhm. That's very true. That's very true. Now, our last one, um, and I would say, I think for me personally, I've grown a lot from interacting with different scripts from India. I've just been a very someone who's interested in personal development, and it would be very interesting and very fulfilling for me, and hopefully for a lot of people who would be interested to have your perception. I mean, you can give us a general one, or you can be a bit more personalized in this. But what elements of smart cities should local governments focus on to allow for happier and more fulfilling smart cities?
What makes a city smart? That is the first question we need to think of. Makes a city smart? Generally, it requires intelligent IoT solutions that optimize infrastructure and government to to better engage citizens in the management of services. So sensors, networks, and applications which collects the data on energy usage, traffic volume, and patterns, especially the pollution levels, and other topics which are then analyzed and used to correct and predict usage and patterns. Making that data available to everyone through open access system allows citizens, businessmen, and residents to leverage that information for their own purposes, which we are using it every day. Smart cities requires leaders with a long-term vision and people committed to collaboration. So multiple agencies, consultants, and private firms track the development of smart cities, and they are generally recognized, subjects or elements that we can call that names that combine to make a city smart. One such sector is mobility, then healthcare, security, water, energy, engagement and community, economic development and housing, the wastage, the sewage system. So within each of those subjects or elements, three layers work together to make a city smart, smart city to operate. According to a recent report by McKinsey, the first layer is the technology base that includes a critical mass of smartphones and sensors that has been connected by high-speed communication networks. The second layer of specific applications, translates the constant stream of raw data into alerts, insights, and action. The third application may be the most important one, getting buy-in and participation from the public. Apps that show traffic volume in real time, for instance, allow drivers and pedestrians to better plan travel routes and adapt at the moment in a short notice. That capability speeds everyone along and hopefully prevents further backup in the congested area. So dozens of applications are already available in each of the developing areas. Real-time crime mapping is that is especially for helps for the police, and telemedicine brings health practitioners into patients' home itself. Open databases, which allows business owners to adapt based on their traffic or the flow of the pedestrians, and some online connection platforms which provide internet access or battery charging for their personal devices, and this list is never ending. So some cities are further along in developing these services than others, with those in Asia, Africa, Europe, which has been taking the lead. um, Dubai and Singapore, for instance, have a large signature infrastructure and building projects carved into their plans.
Lovely, lovely. And, speaking more towards the leadership side, with these local governments on a leadership level, do you think that there's something that you can advise in terms of, I mean, do we adapt, if we think about people, right, in a city, do we push the automation and the IoT to the highest maximum? Or are there elements of the human being and society that we need to prioritize on and not let the robots and the algorithms be too pervasive there? And I'm just going to make a simple comment here. Steve Jobs, he found himself through some Indian teachings. He used to go to the Hare Krishna temple, and that's where most of his identity was formed. And he even argued that Apple is not just some machine. There's a lot of design principles of harmony that went into building Apple devices. I mean, is there something that can be said to the balance of art, maybe, or of leadership, um, and social sciences that we need to be cognizant of when we think about, automation, smart cities, IoT, and all of that?
Yeah, in my opinion, I would say basically they need to devise all the plans, because we cannot expect 100% response from the public unless otherwise it has been initiated by the government. So first it has to be initiated by the central government, slowly by the state government, slowly by the state government. So once it comes to the central government, we have in Dubai most of the government services became a smart government, so we do it everything online. So once it comes from the government, the people who are residing, the citizens and the residents, that will be quite easier for everybody to adapt the policies of the government. So that is the best step to take forward, I would say.
And forgive the bit of background noise here, but I hope you can hear me. So what you're suggesting in general is the government and the citizens need to have a dialogue around balance of, of how these systems should be used.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Dr. Kamala, I know we could talk, for hours and hours, and I really do hope that some of these conversations will go offline. There is a report that's going to be drafted after this series of podcasts is complete, and it would be great to follow up from there and keep people posted and share that with the different governments as well. I'd just like to say thank you for being with us. It was an absolute honor, a great opportunity to learn, and I'm sure everyone can agree with me. Thank you very much.